May marks the third month of the lockdown in Spain, and those on the far right are tired of it. This weekend, the Vox Party called for a nationwide protest, and hundreds of people got in their cars, calling for the Prime Minister and Deputy PM to resign. Spain imposed one of Europe's toughest lockdowns back in March, but has recently started to ease it, with the exceptions being the major cities of Madrid and Barcelona, as they had the most severe outbreaks. After a 9-week-long closure, Morongo Casino in California has opened up, and hundreds of people could barely wait to get inside. A quick temperature check clears every person to go in, and employees have been trying to make sure people keep their distance from each other.
I miss the casino. Been home bored for 2 months. And if we're safe in the grocery store with a mask, then we're safe here with a mask, right?
We just wanted to get a taste of normalcy again and see what it's like to be inside a business that's running semi-normally at least. I mean, you got to wear these masks, and we're doing our best.
It feels like summertime in Portugal, and now it looks like it too. This is the country's first state-sanctioned beach weekend of the year, and people headed out to make up for all the sunshine they missed during the state of emergency. The nation of 10 million people has reported 1,300 deaths, a small fraction of the death toll next door in Spain, which is more than 28,000. Hertz has been in business for more than a century, but with the pandemic severely affecting the travel industry, Hertz is feeling the pinch with fewer cars being rented. The business filed for bankruptcy protection on Friday with nearly $19 billion of debt. Hertz is one of the biggest companies to be undone by the pandemic.
Move that way, quick, pass through. You're supposed to be more than 2 meters apart. You're supposed to be more than 2 meters apart. Move out the way.
The British Prime Minister's closest advisor was surrounded by the media as he left the House on Saturday. Opposition parties are calling for Dominic Cummings to be canned. This is after he traveled 400 kilometers while his wife showed novel coronavirus symptoms so their son could be looked after by other family members. This was back in March, when the lockdown in the UK was already in place. Johnson's office defended Cummings, saying he had to make sure his son was cared for.
It's not a good look, Mr. Cummings, is it?
Why do you think it was reasonable to travel 260 miles, Mr. Cummings, when you might have had coronavirus?
I behaved reasonably and legally.
What is this? A mask for ants? Actually, it kind of is, and for other bugs too. An artist from Russia has been making teeny tiny masks for insects to protect them from the novel coronavirus. This is, of course, all symbolic, and no bugs were harmed in the making of this art. Anatoly Konenko uses bugs he found dead in the streets as models for his new collection. This might have been during the daytime, but this Toronto park was described by one person as looking more like a nightclub. Thousands of people packed into Trinity Bellwoods Park on Saturday to enjoy the warm and sunny weather, but city officials called the behavior selfish and dangerous, saying being this close to each other could cause a surge in COVID-19 cases. Toronto has made it illegal to be within 2 meters of someone from a different household in public places. This looks like a familiar scene in Hong Kong, but these are the biggest protests to happen since the COVID-19 lockdown started. Tear gas and protesters in black returned to the streets this weekend. Thousands of people were rioting against the planned national security laws in Beijing. People are afraid it would take away more freedoms from the semi-autonomous region. Here's what Eid looked like in 2019, and here's footage from this year. Streets were empty and prayer grounds were silent. The coronavirus outbreak made this year's Eid al-Fitr a solemn and muted celebration around the world. This Islamic festival marks the end of the 1-month-long holy fasting month of Ramadan. People cheered for Pope Francis when he came to the window on Sunday overlooking St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. For the first time since the start of the lockdown, Pope Francis blessed the faithful in person. With the latest easing of the lockdown, St. Peter's Basilica has fully reopened, and Italy's Catholic churches are once again allowed to hold public masses. Hundreds of Colombians who are stranded at Sao Paulo International Airport have been unable to come home because of the lockdown. Migrants, tourists, and students are among the people stuck after mandatory quarantine because they can't afford to pay for flights or hotels. Colombians are hoping to get a response from the government about when they'll be allowed back into their country. It's just like going out to dinner before the pandemic, only you have a giant plastic lampshade hanging over your head while you eat. A French designer came up with the encasing that will help people safely dine at a restaurant. He said the designs already on the market look like booths in prison visiting rooms, and he wanted to come up with something a little bit more glamorous.